Algebra 1 EOC Star Review, category number 2, slope and rate of change on page 8. We will be looking at slope, graphing lines, transformations, and systems in this category. Once again, provided on your star formula chart, we are given the three forms of linear equation: standard form, ax plus by equals c; slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b; and then our point-slope form, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And of course, we have the formula for slope, the change in y over change in x. So we should be able to find slope from a graph and from a table. On a graph, we put a dot on each point on the graph, all the nice points. So once we have put the points on there, we think on a graph, rise over run. On this graph, you have to look carefully at your y-axis and your x-axis and see what they're counting by. On my y's, they're counting by 5, so I would say up 10 and then 1 unit to the right. So my slope would be positive 10. The table of values, we would do change in y over change in x. So here we would do our stat edit, stat calc 4. We would put these x, y values into a table and run a linear regression. So stat number 1 is step 1. Enter your x values into L1, which is in this case is time in days. L2 would be the height in centimeters, or our y values. We then go to stat calc 4 for our linear regression. Go down and select calculate, and we find the equation is y equals 2.4x plus 11.8. So the slope would be 2.4. We can also find slope from 2 points. Once again, we can simply put the 2 points into a table and run a linear regression. So the same steps as previous. Stat edit, enter the x values, which is 4 and 2, and 10 in the y values. I noticed something kind of unique already on these 2 points before I even put it into when I put it into my calculator. I noticed my L2 or my y values are the same. So right away, I'm thinking, what would a line look like if both y values are the same? So I'm thinking HOI, or horizontal line here, which we know has a slope of 0. So stat calc 4, we calculate it, and we find the equation is, there it is, y equals 0x plus 10. Or we could just say y equals 10, but this line, horizontal line has a slope of 0. Once again, 2 points, we can do our stat edit, stat calc 4. The x values go in your L1, -2, -10, and your y values go in L2. We then do stat calc 4, a linear regression to find the slope. And we get y equals 0.875x minus 0.25. We can convert that slope. We always like to see slope as a fraction because, like earlier we said, we define it as rise over run. So if you hit math and then enter, that will convert it to a fraction, 7 over 8. So we'd go up 7, right 8 if we were plotting this slope or a rate of change onto a graph. We can also find slope given an equation. So the first equation, I can recognize that is y equals mx plus b. And we know m is the slope. So we would identify the slope is the number in front of the x, so it is the positive 2. The second equation is written in point slope. This time we would find our m in front of the x minus the x1 value. So the slope to this equation would be 1/2. The last equation, I need to transform it a little bit. I need to get y by itself, so I would add 4 to both sides to get y equals positive 4. Now I do not see an x, so I see that this is HOI, or a horizontal line that passes through the y value 4, so this should have a slope of 0. Here's a quick word problem. Peach pays its employees by this formula. P of B equals 5/2 B plus 45, where P of B is the employee's total daily pay and B is the number of bushels of peaches picked. According to the formula, what is the rate employees are paid per bushel of peaches picked? So this equation I recognize as y equals mx plus b, and I'm looking for the rate of which they are paid per bushel. So the rate per bushel would be the 5/2, but if we're talking money, we would need to convert that to decimal in the context of the problem. So 5/2, 5 divided by 2, would be $2.50 per bushel.